Hey,
Oh, g'day. How you going?
check out this nutty game. It's called Skunny in the Wild West.
I suppose I could give that a try.
Good luck. All the Skunny games are infamously bad.
Skunny in the Wild West is one of the last Skunny games made by Copysoft back in 1994, the same year they released Skunny Kart. Unlike Skunny Kart, this one is completely original, made with the same platform game engine used in Save Our Pizzas. Just like the other games, this one has a wacky story. Just listen to this.
When Skunny was on his last mission in Save Our Pizzas, he was sent back to ancient Rome. After he defeated the chef of Katie's, his time machine went wrong and he was sent forward in time to America, when the West was wild and fast food meant trying to catch a buffalo traveling at 40 miles per hour. Skunny found himself in the middle of the desert with a herd of sheep and a letter his mother gave him before he went.
Dear Skunny, I hope you are not too upset, but I had to alter the Wizzo transducer on your time travel machine. You see, I met your father back in 1909 and we set up a small farm in the West. We reared sheep and used them to make woolly tail scarves, but we were attacked by a group of vicious thugs wearing cow horns. They stole all the sheep, and to this day, your poor father cannot forgive himself for letting them do it. If you can get the sheep back, then time will have healed his breaking heart. We will love you always. Skunny's Mummy.
Gather round your fire and pour a cup of coffee and hear a tale of a simple sheep farmer who, against all the odds, fought oppression, greed and downright nasty varmints to make sure his sheep got to safety. Back in 1909, Skunny drove his sheep across the Great Plains of the Wild West, and along that trail he made camp on a cold and frosty night. Skunny loved to carve wood, and as he did this he would sing his favourite song.
Oh my darling Clementine.
Suddenly he stopped singing and rose to his feet slowly. He shouted out,
Who's here?
but there was no reply. He reached for his water pistol and sniffed the air. All of a sudden there come 4 shadows darting out from behind the trees. They were closing down on him fast. Skunny rolled and let off 2 squirts from his pistol. He had hit one of the shadows square between the eyes, and the shadow fell as quickly as it had appeared. The light of the moon shone on the remaining 3 faces, who had now stopped in their tracks.
Drop your weapons.
Shouted Skunny.
Please don't hurt us.
They replied.
We have a message from the cow pie company. Here it is. Skunny Hardnut, turn back your sheep or you will never get out of here alive. Our cows need that grassland and you ain't having it. Signed Sly Moo Cow perhaps.
Skunny said.
Tell your boss that my sheep have just as much right to this grass as any critter on earth. Now get off my land or I'll wet you through.
The 3 men picked up their partner in crime and ran off into the night. Skunny sat down and looked up into the stars and whispered.
Mother, don't worry, I'll get those sheep to safety.
Skunny cried softly and remembered his promise.
While it isn't the most wacky story out of the Skunny series, it's still quite strange. If you didn't catch what was happening there, Skunny basically has to capture all of the sheep that have gone missing from his parents' farm. The whole story kind of smells like a time travel grandfather paradox. Putting this story aside, we have to recover the sheep from all of the bad guys. In the first level here, it's the Indians. These guys attack you with a variety of different weapons. Meanwhile, Skunny here just has a water pistol, which, much to his credit, proves to be quite effective.
Oh my gosh, the keyboard controls are bloody awful. But fortunately for me, I have this. We'll give this a try.
The main issue with the keyboard controls is sometimes it doesn't register every key press. So often when you go to jump over a gap, you'll simply walk off the edge and into a great big hole. Playing with a gamepad solves this control issue. It doesn't miss any input. Unfortunately, what it doesn't solve is the general game design. People of the Wild West must have learned to levitate things, because basically everything is a pitfall and floating over nothing. Combine this with the enemy placement and the fact that they throw you back into the hole if you touch them, and you get death at almost every corner. It does get a bit better if you memorise the game, but so far I haven't managed to get past the first level.
The footage you've seen so far was actually captured with dosbox, and I used this gamepad to act as a joystick with it. But something interesting I found is if you play it on an actual 386, a slow one, you get a little bit more playability out of it again. Here's a little bit of footage of me playing on this machine with this Gravis gamepad controller.
Once again I must apologise for the flicker. I haven't got an easy solution to remove it when filming a CRT. You can see from the footage that the 386 is significantly slower than what I had on dosbox. Of course you could just reduce the cycles on dosbox, but this so happens to be the way that I discovered a slower CPU making the game easier to play. It was so much easier that I got so much further on my first try, something which I'd been trying to do for ages. Of course, this could be a product of practice instead, but it definitely feels more like the slow speed made a big difference.
It's easy to rag on the Skunny games because most of them are bad in one way or another. Wild West is bad in its controls and some of the level design. But that's not how I'm going to end the video today. Part of the reason I want to go down a different path is because the Skunny games somehow made it to where I lived. And I lived practically under the proverbial rock out in the middle of rural Australia where not that much shareware really made it. And somehow these games from Belgium got there. And it seems to be a common experience amongst other members of the community and just people who play DOS games in general. The Skunny games just got absolutely everywhere in the world. I have no idea how this is, because it's not like they're particularly good. They do have weird stories. The graphics are okay, but the gameplay is terrible. How did they get into every edge of the world? I don't know. But I do think that this makes them worthy of remembering, and maybe worthy of a little bit of nostalgia if you played them back in the day. And on that note, I think I'm going to leave it there. So I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.